Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, acolytes. They don't use weapons, I'm told. And so much more. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Good morning, Roxy.
Hi, DJ. I'm excited because you and I did not spoil to each other at all how we feel about the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. The only guess I have about you when it comes to Acolyte is what you just said, which makes me think you did not enjoy the show.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Roxy didn't see
my... But you do love all Star Wars shows.
Roxy didn't see my tweet about it, so it's a mystery. It's a mystery. But what is this show? Well, I just told you it's where we talk about movies, TV shows, and comic books. But if you want more of it, you can go to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, where we have shows like What We're Into, Spider-Versity. Ooh, another thing, couple other things that I shouldn't forget. One, I've started posting individual videos where it's just me talking to you on my personal channel again. And it'd be really nice if it got more views so I could monetize it again, because YouTube's threshold for monetization is kind of nutso. So there will be a link in the description, or probably a pinned comment or something, or maybe something will pop up in one of these corners. Check it out, watch the video, do the thumbs up, share it with your friends, all that jazz. Also, the collected edition of Hellbent is coming to Kickstarter soon. This has all 3 volumes plus even more stories. So if you have missed the previous collections, the previous stories, you can get it all here. And if you've been keeping up with it, there's new stuff in this one. There's something for everybody. So if you want to go to the pre-launch page, you can do that by going to hellbentcomicbook.com. I think that's the main business. iTunes, Spotify. There'll be a question on this episode. Please answer it. That jazz, all of that. 5 stars on iTunes. I think those are the things. Did I miss anything, Roxy?
No, I didn't know that about your own channel, though. I want to go sub.
I'm experimenting with new stuff. All right. I'm trying out new things. Please go give me positive affirmations, positive reinforcement. That's what I need. So go check that out. Now, let's hop on over to news. We got an exciting one this week, Roxy. Did you know? So there's a new Captain America movie coming, starring Anthony Mackie as our new Captain America. All right. Well, did you know that Giancarlo Esposito has been cast in a role as part of reshoots?
I didn't. Well, I can't lie to the people.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
And then you texted me, and then I knew.
Then you knew.
And then I knew.
So there's, of course, a lot of speculation on who he could play. And I pulled this from Den of Geek. Quote, as part of the reshoots done for Captain America Brave New World, the first with Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson as the Sentinel of Liberty, Esposito has been added to the cast. Initial reports identified him as a new mystery villain who would act as a, quote, agent of chaos. At the time of those whispers, we really only had a rudimentary sketch of the character, which was based on the insider's alleged description. However, the reshoots have brought new set photo leaks, and with them, more questions have been raised about Esposito's Marvel close-up. Now, Roxy, I want to show you this sketch, this insider sketch. You ready for this? Ooh, yeah. He's got some
detail.
Yeah, I know. He's got some little doodles over here and some little doodles over there.
Hold on. Yeah. Hang tight on this.
Yes.
So many things. Number 1, is the thing on the right an axe?
Yes.
Number 2. Are the lines his legs?
Yes.
Or is that like a kilt situation?
Legs.
Okay. Number 3. Going across his body, is it buckles?
Knives. I'll show you in a minute.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got a more detailed view later.
I love this sketch so much.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think the insider described it as kind of like Blade, but with blue hair. If you're those watching the video, on the left is his stunt double, is from what I understand, Giancarlo Esposito's stunt double in the movie. Now we've gotten a more detailed set photo. Boom, here it is.
This is interesting. He looks so different. His hair, cool shades. It's that suede on the inside of his coat. You love to see it.
Yeah.
Always looking cool.
So, originally people were like, "Oh, fans wanted him to be Professor X." That's clearly, I feel pretty clear. Professor X has been known to do a lot of things. Walking around with knives strapped to his chest is not one of them. Here's from this Den of Geek article, which was pulling from social media and stuff like that. Here are some of the top contenders for who he could be. Okay. We've got General Reginald Fordian, who is a colleague of Thunderbolt Ross, who's being played by Harrison Ford in the movie. We've got Bushmaster, who's a member of the Serpent Society, who the Serpent Society are villains in this movie. We got Henry Peter Gyrick, who's an X-Men villain. Not typically known. He's more of a behind-the-scenes pulling levers guy, not I'm walking around with knives on my chest type guy. We got Jacob Fury, who's Nick Fury's evil I was going to say twin brother. It's not his twin brother, but his evil brother. And then we got Paladin, who is a mercenary in Marvel Comics. And I want to say he also has something to do with Serpent Society. That was why that one was floated. Are any of these moving the needle for you? Do you have any suspicions on who Esposito could be playing in this movie?
The guess that I'm seeing the most online is Jacob Fury. That's the one that the internet seems to be pretty convinced about.
Cool.
So what do you think about that, DJ?
I'm going to say, listen, you and I have been playing this game for a long time. Okay. Marvel movie speculation game. I'm going to suggest that it's just going to be some fucking guy. I think it's going to be just some fucking guy. and okay, so let's say it's Reginald Fordian, which is cool because he'll show up when you Wikipedia him, but it's not he's part of stories that I love where he's a famed character. I think he's just some guy. Here's the thing that I want to kind of go back to because I think we might have a more productive conversation about that. Look, he's even got a gun on the side. This guy's armed to the teeth. I'm a little concerned that in the year of our Lord 2024, that the new Captain America movie, after all the discourse around Marvel writing the ship, trying to not tinker less, trying to be more controlled, that we're doing reshoots for our next movie that include a brand new villain that is big enough to warrant casting a fairly prominent actor. It's I thought we were going to cut this stuff out, guys. I thought we were going to stop reshooting the entire movie before it comes out.
I have no issue with reshoots at all. Reshoots never make me nervous. Reshoots don't freak me out. Reshoots are a part of film. Reshoots happen because of weird camera issues or sound issues or a line of dialogue needs to be changed. Reshoots can happen for many reasons. The entire new villain reshoot is what?
Yeah.
Because you're definitely right here, DJ. I would say Giancarlo Esposito I don't think he's household name level, but post Breaking Bad, he is big villain status.
Yes.
Not small villain status.
Yeah.
Not 2-minute cameo villain status.
Yeah.
So how many reshoots does it take to insert a whole new big bad?
Yeah.
Because that's got to be throughout the whole.
Yeah, if he's a big bad, it could be like we've seen with other stuff that maybe is a post-credit tease, although normally they're a little tighter about those. So the fact that
that's exactly what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's one of those, you're totally right in that, especially when it comes to big blockbusters, reshoots are a normal part of the process. Right. What has become increasingly common, specifically with Marvel movies, is I want to say Ant-Man, Quantumania, and stuff like that. We reshot 50% of the movie, and it's that's a problem. You messed up. You're doing something wrong there. It's not we're making some tweaks to tighten up. The fact that you shot the movie, looked at the movie, and you're well, we need a whole new movie. That's a page one that's a day one problem.
Yeah, script reshoots are weird.
Yeah.
It's the least understandable. Technical reshoots, performance reshoot, whatever it is, those all kind of make more sense. Script reshoots is when are you guys going to realize you would have saved money if you had spent more time in pre-production on script?
Yeah.
Instead of in post-production, realizing 50% of the movie needs to be reshot. That doesn't save you time or money. Mm-hmm. So it's so weird that we do continue to do this. I'm just banking on the fact that he is we're setting up for a future
Yeah.
big bad.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense for a reshoot. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a reshoot then, although they are. It might just be they figured out their next step in Captain America saga. They know it's with him, so they come back in and tack it on.
That'd be great. That's a totally normal, respectable. That I think you and I are on the same page of like that's kind of the function of reshoots, where it's like, oh, there's a few things. There's about 10 minutes of movie here that if we adjust it, we've got something that really sings. So I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping this is less of he is the main villain. Suddenly now we've decided he's the main villain of this movie, as opposed to, oh no, we can make some tweaks to set him up for like Thunderbolts or whatever.
If you go to Captain America Brave New World, and this is not always accurate, so I want to be clear about that, but the first person, the top build is Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And the next person is Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. And that might just be because,
and after that is Liv Tyler.
It's off. That's crazy. Off of who?
And Anthony Mackie's not until like 8th. So I'm not taking it too serious.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. And it's based on people who they're looking up. And,
yeah, exactly. And now everybody's looking him up because yeah.
But it is, I don't know. He's very prominently on the IMDb right now.
Yeah, I will say, obviously, as a fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, tremendous villain actor. So good. However, my wife shared, I guess there's this series of like TikTok videos or wherever, where somebody harasses celebrities in New York, and he's just like, "Hey, what are you wearing? What are you doing? Whatever." And I didn't know that this is like a subgenre video where we just talk to random people on the street in New York and ask them to let us into their apartment or whatever. Anyway, the video with him though is so energetic and fun. It's like we need to let him play happy people more because I didn't even know.
Is he asking people or is he being asked?
He's being asked. They're like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, he's talking about his clothes," and it's like he's fun and energetic and exciting. And I'm so seeing him as like intimidating and scary. It's like we need to let him be like have fun. I would like to see him do more fun things.
For sure. Does the person talking to him know who they're talking to?
Yeah, because there's another one with Willem Dafoe. It's like, I guess, I don't know how these things get started because they can't be as spontaneous as they seem. But it's like you see a celebrity. The way it's framed is I saw a celebrity on the street and I'm asking what designers he's wearing.
I mean, I think it could because, like, the New York, there's a couple of different places. It's a smaller city, and if you know where people are filming or you know where people you like get lunch, whatever, you post up. You don't know which celebrities you're going to be getting.
Yeah.
But same in LA, there's certain places you can post up, and you know for a fact there's going to be a celebrity that rolls through that day.
Yeah. Small as in density wise, obviously, not small as in population wise.
It's very small, very quaint.
For us in LA, that's like spread out all over.
Yeah, I just mean it's tight.
Yeah.
Like if you get a phone call like, oh, this person is uptown, and you're like, and it's not crazy rush hour.
Yeah.
You can hop on the train and get there pretty quickly.
Well, you get a call from an uptown girl, All right.
She's living in an uptown world.
Yeah, I know. Let's go into our main conversation for this week because we got a new Star Wars show. Gosh dang it, kids. You better be fucking excited about it. It's a little show called The Acolyte. Have you heard of it, everybody? Have you heard of it? This one is coming from Leslie Headland, creator of the Russian Doll show. The description is a Star Wars series that takes viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. I struggled with era right there.
You got era.
Oh my God.
Aren't you a Swiftie? The Eras tour.
I performed an error on era. And this is starring Amandla Stenberg, Jung-jae, Dafne Keen, Charlie Barnett, and Carrie-Anne Moss, and Manny Jacinto from The Good Place. Roxy, you're a Star Warsian. General thought. We'll get into. We got 2 episodes for the premiere. We'll get into the specifics, but just general thoughts. What did you think about these 2 episodes?
I have to be honest with you, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
This is like maybe my favorite Star Wars show yet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only been 2 episodes. The reason I'm saying that is because this just feels like a TV show that you have to have no knowledge of anything at all which I'm a very casual Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
What that I mean by that is, if there's any other franchise, you would call me a super fan because I've seen everything in the franchise.
Yeah.
I've seen everything except for the animated shows.
Yeah.
And yet I don't know the names of all of the planets. I don't know the names of all of the ships. I don't know all of the bloodlines.
Yeah.
I get confused with the backstories. I haven't read all of the books that are considered canon. I did not watch Rebels or Clone Wars. So oftentimes in the movies, I find myself being like, or in the shows, this is cool to watch, but I don't know that character.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know that character? I don't. And I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I love Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
This show is a show about Jedi. I love like some spoilers. Is that okay?
Do it.
Okay. I love shows, TV shows with like aha twist. So like Twin Gate was like, yeah, for sure, dog. Like, I'm a TV fan. Bring the twin news to me.
Yeah.
I know immediately. Like, of course, she's got an evil twin.
Yeah.
That is what's going on. I love vendetta, revenge pieces. I love like we've got to get her back with love. All people can be good, you know, like, and on top of that, like the diehard TV fan that I am familiar with like this entire cast.
Yeah.
Which is so fun for me because they all come from stuff that I watch and know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for just so many reasons, sign me up. It's so cute. It's so, for lack of a better word, simple.
Yeah.
Easy to follow. Looks cool. We open with Carrie-Anne Moss, which okay, this is another thing, DJ, I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
You know how I haven't been really watching trailers recently?
Yeah.
And I don't keep up with the news as much. I didn't know she was in this show.
Nice.
So everybody else was bummed that she was gone before she, and I was
spoilers.
Just
Yeah. She's not exactly. She's not there long.
I was like, yay, that's such a cool thing.
Okay, so spoilers for the show because, we're just going to be jumping in and out. We've got 2 episodes. Episode 1 was Lost and Lost Found. Episode 2 is Revenge Justice, a duality theme there that I think we'll be getting into more. But Bold Gambit having your main antagonist kill off Trinity in your opening minutes, like, all right, we're not messing around. You know what I mean?
And it looks so cool. Don't you think that scene was
fights
so
were great.
dope?
Here's the thing, Roxy. I agree with you. I like this show. For me, I'm not going to say Andor's still tippity top, untouched. But for me, so I kind of don't really consider myself much of a Star Wars fan, even though also I've watched a lot of the things and I do know a lot of the lore. It just doesn't often like click for me as much.
Yeah,
but,
you're more Star Wars knowledgeable than I am. I just like it better.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
But here's the thing. When I was younger, there was this book series that is no longer canon called The Young Jedi Knights. That was like a YA novel series about the young Jedi Knights Luke was training. This totally reminded me of that, like vibe-wise. It felt like, hey, you remember the expanded universe stuff that's no longer canon? Here's that. Here's those vibes. Where this, even though other stuff is bringing back that canon in certain ways, like Thrawn, this felt vibe-wise the most like that. And so that was, I also thought that was refreshing. Your note that it felt like a TV show, totally agree. When you were talking about it based on what I'm saying and what you're saying, I was like, there's an argument to be made that this is the closest to like a Star Wars CW show. And I know most people would hear that as a knock against it. And I don't feel that way. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm into this. I'm totally okay with that. Like,
that's so accurate because like Star Wars is Disney and this felt like what's Disney Freeform?
Yeah.
Which would be like their version of CW, I think.
Yeah, totally. 100%. And so I think like you, I immediately got the vibe. Like you, I was like, oh, thank God. I don't have to like know a jillion I don't have to have an encyclopedic knowledge of all this stuff to know the basics. And I was a little nervous at first because it has become increasingly clear to me that I feel like the Jedi are a major drag. They're just a bunch of squares. Like I don't vibe with them. And so we're introduced to Yord, the himbo kind of uptight guy, and with the yellow lightsaber. and he's so like by the book, and I'm like, oh God, the Jedi are such a drag. But as the show went on, I'm like, oh, but this show, it feels like this show knows that. Like, hey, by the way, this show is going to be kind of about how the Jedi are a drag. And on the counterpoint, we're introduced to Jung-jae, who was in Squid Game, and it turns out Squid Game wasn't a fluke because he's fucking fantastic here. And his little Padawan Dafne Keen, who is X-23 in Logan, are great. They're fun. They got a fun little dynamic, and like the central, I think the central mystery, I feel like there's other stuff that we haven't, obviously there's other stuff we haven't gotten to yet, but I feel like there's other layers to it that we'll discuss in a minute. But I do wonder if maybe the central mystery might be might be exceeding the show's grasp. But right now I'm engaged.
Perhaps. How many episodes is the whole show?
I think 8. Tell me more of your thoughts while I bring up how many episodes.
Okay, well, I have a question for you. So it's hard for me because I have to ask you because you mentioned Yord.
Yes.
And I want to know, DJ, if you clocked who he is
from
a past life of ours.
No.
That's John Diggle Jr., bro.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
That's John Diggle Jr., bro.
No, it isn't. Hold on.
Let's go Super TV Showdown.
Dude. So really, this show was made for you and me. Like, yeah, I totally get what we're doing here. Goddamn, that's crazy. That's crazy,
right?
Yeah, we totally get what this show's doing. Like, it's like, yeah, I get what you're doing. I dig it. I think the fights are cool. The fights are a lot of fun and cool.
They are cool. Like, people were annoyed in the first 2 episodes. Okay, here's some of the discourse I saw online when I looked. You're gonna laugh because I think this is so batshit, but this is what people were really complaining about.
Yeah.
It's like almost embarrassing for me to say out loud, DJ.
Yeah.
The 2 Jedi that die are white. That Carrie-Anne Moss dies, and then the guy who offs himself, he be white too, and that all the white Jedi are dying off.
Who cares, man?
And I was like, not only is that not something I care about, it's not something I noticed.
Yeah, the next one on our hit list is a Wookiee Jedi, man. Like, what are we talking about? Which, by the way, I learned something about myself too. I've never been a big Chewie fan. I don't have anything against him. He's fine. But it turns out any other Wookiee, like when we introduced Chrysanthemum in Boba Fett, the big black bounty hunter one, that guy's dope. And the second we see Jedi Wookiee, I'm like, I'm a big fan of this guy. So apparently Chewie's not my jam, but Wookiees in general, apparently I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder what it is about Chewie that just didn't do it for you.
Maybe because he's just because obviously those movies were around long before I was. So maybe he's just part of Star. It'd be like being a fan of R2 or whatever. It's like it's just all the one thing to me. I don't know.
So I'm seeing that people were upset. A certain sector of people were upset that the white Jedi are dying off. May they rest in peace. And they were upset about I was seeing obviously dumbass. Like, of course, this is dropped in Pride Month. This show has such queer themes and is trying so hard. And I was like,
where? Not that I'm against it, but where?
I guess there's one line where she mentions she has 2 moms.
Oh yeah, whatever, man. Like, come on.
I didn't even hear the line, but like, I don't know. So the people who were upset by this, I think there's two kinds of people who could not like this show, like really dislike this show.
Yeah.
The first kind of person who could really dislike this show is just an ignorant fuck who thought it was too. Whatever the new word for woke is.
Yeah.
The second kind of person is somebody who's a diehard Star Wars fan who really wants lore.
Yeah.
And was like, this has nothing to do with anything I care about.
Yeah.
And so I don't like it. And that second kind is valid. Like, if this just wasn't your cup of tea in the Star Wars saga, if you're like, this isn't the corner of the universe that I want to spend time in, I don't care at all about what was even the planet we were on.
Yeah.
Or the people we're with, that I just don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to care about this. It's maybe not for you.
Yeah. Or if you're not as big a fan of like this, the more YA CW tone, if that's not your jam, that's fine. But also I think you and I are on the same page that even though we are enjoying it, I'm fine to have things that are part of a franchise that aren't for me. That's okay.
Right. Totally. So I think that, but the one thing that did come up that I was like, it's like these shows are just so expensive. And if you're gonna be like a YA CW type show, can your budget really be $150 million? Like,
Yeah.
it's a
I mean, we'll see.
maybe.
And also, frustratingly, I feel like even after all the strikes, we still don't quite know how these studios are making their money, how these streamers are making
How
their
are
money.
they doing? Why? I thought that we won more stuff in terms of like, what are the numbers?
Yeah.
Release the numbers.
Yeah. So because normally I'd like to say, I feel like a YA Star Wars thing would actually generate really well because the franchise, I know like there's a certain subset of fans that wants it to just be for them, but the truth is it's a younger skewing, you know what I mean? You get hooked to Star Wars younger. I feel like that's what it's designed to do. So I feel like this is, some of the most beloved Star Wars stuff are Saturday morning cartoons, Clone Wars and Rebels, you know what I mean? So I would posit they would probably do pretty well, but there's no way for me to confirm that, and that's weird.
How did Clone Wars and Rebels initially air?
On Cartoon Network, I believe. On Cartoon
Okay.
Network, yeah.
Is Disney Plus the platform of kids?
They don't. I think they don't want it to be that because I don't know about you, but my Disney Plus has now integrated all my Hulu stuff as well. So I'll log on to Disney Plus and it'll be like the first Omen. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't mean that. I more mean like, okay, so you and I growing up, we watched, I'm guessing based on what you did, I watched Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I watched Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Every person I knew had those in their household.
Yeah.
Do all the kids have Disney Plus?
I would imagine. So I'm thinking people my generation, like if I were to get something for my kids, I would be Disney Plus. But you mentioned, so Nickelodeon stuff is on Paramount Plus. Cartoon Network stuff is on Max. That's where I watch My Adventures with Superman. Disney stuff is on Disney. Netflix has its own, you know what I mean? Like it's like every other piece of media where it's so atomized.
Disjointed.
Yeah, that it's hard to.
That is weird because I watched 3 channels growing up.
Same.
3 channels. And it was Disney, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network.
I think for me, you could actually pare that down to 2. It was Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. That was basically it for me.
But you didn't watch any of the Disney Channel movies?
It just wasn't the tone wasn't for me. Like I just, a lot of people have like nostalgia for DuckTales and stuff. That's just not me. I was more like Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Younger, Rugrats.
I love Dexter's Lab.
Yeah. Doug, Hey Arnold. You know what I mean? Like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network had me on lock. Like those were my jams. And so it's crazy. But I feel like
you do Recess or no?
I think Recess was a little past my time. I saw some
episodes.
Wow,
he's so old.
Yeah. I think it was a little just outside of my periphery. But yeah, it's
Daria or no?
No, Daria was too cool for me. Wasn't that MTV or Comedy Central?
It was cool though.
Yeah, it was cool. That was the cool kids one. That was for the.
That was Dorina's. Okay, and that's how you know it's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm. So the episodes we get, so just to dive into a little bit deeper, the episodes we got, like I mentioned, Lost Found, Revenge and Justice. In the first episode, we're introduced to May, who is also Amandla Stenberg plays both May and Osha, who are supposed to be twin siblings, twin sisters. Both of them think the other one is dead. May is going around and killing Jedi, which is such a great premise for a Star Wars show. It's one of those things. You're probably not going to agree with me on this, but watching this, I was like, man, I wish this was what the prequel trilogy was more like. I wish the prequel trilogy was more like this.
No, I hear you. I think there's something to like the easiness of this.
Yeah.
And understanding motivations very clearly. And
just stuff like, okay, so first one, fight with Trinity. Awesome. That's not the character's name, but it's Carrie-Anne Moss. And she's doing Kung Fu. She's Trinity in my brain. And so that's cool. It's a cool fight. But then you get into stuff, and this is stuff I wish Star Wars did more. Second guy has apparently been like floating, meditating for 6 years and has a force, like the force field around him. That's cool. And like her having to figure out like, wait, how am I going to get this guy? That's really cool. That's a cool use of the lore, of the mythology you've got.
Are you talking about homie who kills himself?
Yeah.
So what happened there?
So I think we're led to believe that whatever happened to May and Osha was not it was not entirely an accident. Somehow these other Jedi are complicit, and I guess he felt guilty about it, and so she played to his guilt.
And out of guilt, he took the poison.
Yes, that is what I feel like I'm supposed to understand. And the next two, so there's 4 on her list. She's gotten 2. Third one's Wookiee. Fourth one is Squid Game guy.
Our guy, yeah.
He's so cool, man. I know they're going to reveal something super dark about him, and it's going to really bum me out because I really like him. I really like him. He's so cool.
Yeah. I think this show is doing a cool job, though, of getting back to the basics in terms of, like, when you speak about him, he's, like, really trying to train the Jedi.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, like, attachments. And he's getting back to, like, you know, I believe you.
Yeah.
When we first see Amandla's first character be like, I did not do this, and nobody believes. What is it, Osha or
I didn't
May?
see it spelled out. It's Osha. May's the
Osha.
dark side one. Yeah.
So nobody believes Osha.
Yeah.
But it's like about, and like when we are like, oh, somebody's like, oh no, Osha's definitely dead from the crash, and he's like, no, I can feel her.
Yeah.
And it's like Jedi shit.
Yeah.
And we're getting back to the basics of what does this mean? And then when Yord's being like mad annoying.
Yeah.
And he like steps in and he's like, Soul's like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how we're playing this. And then later on, when Osha's about to go down for the death of suicide guy, Yord's like, sorry, I was with her the whole time. She didn't do it.
That was a neat trick too, because I don't know about you, but when I saw it and he was following her, I'm like, this fucking guy, he's gonna like rat on or whatever. And then it turns out, no, him following her actually was beneficial. It's like, oh, okay.
Because Jedi stuff, you know, like, because what we can trust is that even if these people have messed up in their past, like, they are attempting to be the good guys, which sometimes doesn't work out. Sometimes makes you a pompous, arrogant F. And then sometimes it makes you do the right thing. And so I do like the ideas of dark and evil. I like the idea of twins who, this is so Star Wars to me, like, if you went one way, you could turn one way. If you go another way, you turn the other way.
You're right. The sibling aspect. You know, this does something. Obviously, Star Wars Visions gets away with more because it's an anthology. That's the anime anthology where each episode's a different anime studio. But this show does something similar where it's like, let's take the iconography of Star Wars and shake it up. You know what I mean? And so, like, I didn't even put the connection of, like, you're right. Siblings are specifically twins are such a core Star Wars concept. Pivoting on that here is really effective. I do want to run this by you. Do you think it's actually 2 people? Because I'm suspecting that there's some sort of force shenanigans going on and it's actually just one person.
It is a good question, because when we see the crash and then we see Osha like chase May out, you know, and it's like, hey. And then I was like, oh no, these are both inside of her.
Yeah.
That's like what's happening. And because Soul and Osha were so like, we saw her die, I am like, did part of her come into Osha, and that's the part that hasn't been tapped into? I am wondering that, but I don't know that this show is going to do that.
I think the reason, and I have mixed feelings on, that's what I was talking about. If they do that, it's like, that might be too much. But it's been so, and I think we'll get into the Discord. I think some people mentioned in the Discord too, that this show's been kind of flippant with its mysteries. Like, who's this other person? Oh, it's her sister. Like, anytime there's like a question, like, we answer it immediately, which makes me feel like you guys are withholding something. And the show went so hard out of its way to not have them interact. Like, we see her shoot the little laser gun at her, but beyond that, like, the show bends over backwards to be like, nah, you can't come because we just can't have you interact with her yet. There's a whole mystery we haven't yet revealed yet.
Yeah, and like maybe Master Soul knows it and he's trying to pull the light out of Amandla.
Yeah.
It is definitely possible. I took note of the moments that you're taking note, like how they're shooting it, how they're speaking about one another, and it's like,
Let me ask you about this. So in episode 2, Revenge Justice, where he's introduced to Manny Jacinto, Jason Mendoza from The Good Place, and he appears to be, I'm unclear of his relationship with May. Is he also team? Because the impression I kind of got is like, okay, you're not. We see what I'm going to assume is a Sith. He has a red lightsaber and a helmet and the whole jam, and he's training May. It seems like you are at least aware of this person, if not actively working with this person, but not like an apprentice like May is. What do you think? How do you think he fits into the, like, I'm going to say the bad guy's plans?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, honestly. Like when we were, there's a couple of things that I have been unclear about. Like when we're in the shop, the poison shop.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "You look just like her."
Yeah.
I was like, is there something bigger going on here where like they look like their mother? And there's like some other, like, who, because he didn't say you look just like your sister.
But I think that was the implication. He realized it wasn't her. And so it's like, you just look just like your sister.
Could be, but he
Yeah.
didn't say that.
Yeah,
He said you just look just like her.
Okay.
And then he seemed confused when she pulled the gun.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe he wasn't calling her out in this moment. Maybe he was like complimenting her, like, you know, like just talking to her more. You look just like her.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's like a whole bigger bad scheme going on. I might be going too wild, but I know that didn't just answer your question, but that's what I was starting to think about. Like, how many moving parts are we unaware of?
Yeah. How many cards is the show withholding? I would like one. I just, it's Jason Mendoza. I'd like to see more of him, but I also am not against the idea.
Yeah, you and I both loved him. So.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have a character. We kind of set him up in this. It's always fun to have a character that's just totally out for himself and betrays everybody all the time. It's just like, I'm working with you now, but actually I'm working with these guys now, but actually I'm working with these guys now. It's like, if it becomes his role in the show, that'd be cool. That'd be fun.
Yeah. And there are people like that. So that makes sense. Do you think that we are done completely with Carrie-Anne Moss? As an actress, like, do you think we'll see flashbacks? Do you think
I think flashbacks. I would be genuinely surprised if we never see her again, because she's like, and that might be part of the ploy, but she's like on the poster. She's part of the advertising.
Did the people who got screeners for this get all the episodes or the first half?
I don't know, because I was not one of them. Okay. In fact, I don't know anybody that was.
Christian.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was talking to some of our other friends that were like, yeah, no, I didn't get them either. And it's like, all right, I don't know. Yeah.
There was a Bad Boys screening. Did you get invited to that?
No, and I didn't even reach out. Sorry, everybody. This is some inside baseball. But yeah, so we've got, let's get into some of these questions from the Discord. Clementine, is this the best looking volume show we've gotten? Speaking of the thing that Mandalorian's shot on. Often Star Wars TV sets look a bit sparse, but not this one. They're going to say, I'm not sure what to make of the supposed murder mystery yet. It feels like every time they introduce what the main setup of the plot will be, it's resolved and answered minutes later. It makes me think, as DJ often says, what are we doing? So the question is this the best looking Star Wars show that's shot on the volume?
What else is shot there?
Pretty much everything other than Andor.
So Obi-Wan was shot there?
Yeah. And I feel like Obi-Wan, in my opinion, Obi-Wan's the most egregious example, because that show does not look great. It does not look great. It looks very empty. Everything looks very empty. Mando
was shot there?
Yeah. And I didn't even know, to Clementine's point, I actually didn't know this was shot on the volume. It did feel a little bit, and this isn't fair, because again, Andor for me is the tippy top. You can't do no better. It didn't quite look quite as good as Andor, but it still looked good. Where was Andor shot? I think Andor was shot practically. I think it was shot like on location, on sets and stuff like that, as far as I know. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just such an easy mark sometimes. I don't think there's been a Star Wars show that looks bad. Mm-hmm. So,
in your opinion, what's the best looking one?
They all look the same.
Okay.
Like, all like good.
Yeah.
And Star Wars-y.
I'll save that for the after show. Leonard Kim, how do you feel about Yord? something seems off about him, and I get this feeling that he could turn, mainly because he was so eager to use his mind abilities, which felt Empire-esque. Also, maybe I'm overthinking this, but could the acolyte, by its end, leave the audience thinking the Jedi aren't upstanding collection of people that we've been led to believe? I think Star Wars has been trying to deconstruct the Jedi since the prequels, and this is just the most explicit example of it. That's my opinion on that. But what do you think about Yord, Roxy? Do you think there's something up with Yord?
Do you remember the scene where Soul is teaching the kids and one kid's like
Yeah.
fire and whatever?
Yeah.
I think this show is trying to show there's an internal struggle with all Jedi.
Yeah.
And I think we're watching his internal struggle because he's like uppity and annoying. But we do see him do the right thing when it comes to the Osha situation, when he sees that she didn't murder
Yeah.
the Jedi. And maybe that's just because he knows that she was going to get cleared anyway. Could be a cover.
Yeah.
But I don't get like he's going to turn vibes from him. I get more he has to like be more comfortable in his own choices, and his skin is just more his journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that he represents him and the green alien lady that's kind of like seems to be Soul's boss. He represents the challenge that the Jedi represent, because maybe I'm projecting a little bit, because this is what I'd like to see Star Wars do more of, is play with the idea of Jedi are good and Sith are bad, and you know what I mean. Like it might. I hope that it plays with the concept that like, the Jedi are very bureaucratic and in a lot of ways glorified cops, and it's not that simple that just being a Jedi makes you a good person, kind of a thing.
Right.
I'd also like to see, and I don't think I'll ever get it, maybe if they keep doing enough of these shows, I'm bummed that your two options for being a cool psychic samurai in this Star Wars universe are you're either the ultimate evil or you're a bureaucratic drip. Like those are your two choices. And it's like, you can't just be like a cool dude and have a laser sword. You got to be like...
You don't feel that way about Soul, kind of?
Soul, I think that's one of the reasons I like Soul so much, because so much of his conversations with Yord and the green alien lady and stuff like that are like, it's basically him being like, hey, calm down. Hey, chill out. But it's still like,
what about...
You can't create attachments. You can't make a family. It's like, man, I just want to be a cool space samurai. I can't be a cool space samurai.
I like that we saw... what is Dafne Keen's name?
Her is Jecki, I think.
Jecki.
She's great, by the way. She is a lot of fun.
Yeah, but like I like that we see her be like, no, let's send Osha in there and have her trick them into thinking this thing. Like that is the Jedi pushing boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like that's sneaky.
Yeah.
And like showing layers to Jedi.
Yeah, I guess it's just tough for me, because it's like when they're all like, "Hey, you got to be calm all the time and no emotion, no emotion." It's like, so I'm not a Jedi, so I'm hanging out with the Sith basically. I'm going to be with their lightsabers are cooler anyway. They've got cooler outfits. I just don't want to be a murderer.
This show is giving Buddhist.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There's a lot of Buddhist teachings in the Jedi, especially when it comes to attachments, and it's not a way of life for me.
Yeah.
But you gotta respect it. It's like,
I just wish there were options. I wish there was like a little bit more of a spectrum. But you know what? We'll see where the show goes. Last question, Mike Joyce. Does it bother you that there's so many humans? It's a big galaxy. Where's all the aliens? I think Mike. I know he's in our live chat. I think specifically he's talking about the Jedi. Because I would push back. I actually think there are a lot of pretty cool looking aliens in this show.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I like the little robot gadget she has.
Yeah, in her pocket.
Yeah. And I'm a sucker. This is the stuff I like about Star Wars, where there's the little like robot head that pokes out from the wall and is yelling at the kid. It's like, that's fun. That's a little fun Star Warsy bit. What's that robot's deal? What's he do all day? Just yell at little kids?
Yeah. Even when we first get to Carrie-Anne Moss's character, she's sitting with like all aliens.
Yeah. And then when there's that prison breakout on the barge, there's the one big alien guy. They're having fun. This show, the people making the show seem to be having a lot of fun, and I'm having fun with them.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad that you don't hate this because I enjoy it and like would look forward to talking about this again next week.
Yeah, I think we should keep covering it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So we've got, it's 8 episodes. We've seen 2. We've got 6 left. So clearly she's not going to be getting to her other 2 targets anytime soon, I would imagine.
Are we 1 a weeking or are we 2 a weeking?
My understanding is we are 1 a weeking after this.
I'm glad they dropped 2 at the top then.
And it's a good 2. I think this is a good...
It's giving us a good sense of what the show is.
Yeah.
At least I think.
Yeah, unless they like really shake it up. I'm excited to get Wookiee Jedi in there and see him tear shit up. I'm excited. I think Amandla's a solid lead. I think she's a really compelling lead. I know we're introducing, I guess to my point about spectrum of stuff, from what I understand on some press materials I've seen, we're introducing Force witches who are somehow different than the Sith and the Jedi. So I'm interested to find out what their deal is.
Wow, what's a Force witch?
Yeah.
That's cool. Maybe that's exactly what you're wanting.
But I don't think they get a cool laser sword. Roxy, I want a laser sword, but
I
also want to...
Maybe they make one. They witchcraft it.
But I also want to be able to create attachments. I'm a very attached person, all right?
Maybe the witch people can.
Maybe the witch people can. I don't know. We'll find out together. Roxy, what would you like to see from this show?
I guess I really like I think that Amandla used to be a Jedi, now isn't, and it seems like there's kind of some trauma there. I'd like to see by the end more resolution with Amandla's character, with Soul, like maybe Osha comes back into the Jedi fold. Maybe that's the full character arc. And yeah, I want to see variety in the Jedi, that internal struggle. And honestly, I'm detaching from outcome because I don't really feel like there's anything I'm like, if you don't do this, I'm going to be pissed at this show.
Yeah.
Because we don't know these people. I don't want to see anybody related to Skywalker.
I don't want to see Skywalker. I don't know how many hundreds of years this is before the original. I think they say at the top. I don't want to see Yoda, if I'm being honest. I don't need to...
I could see Yoda. I could mess with Yoda.
You know what I mean? I think, no Skywalkers. I think part of the appeal for us is like, it's its own thing. You're getting to meet all new characters in a completely different context. And this is the type of thing I want to see Star Wars do more of. Just like pick a time period, pick a part of the galaxy, and just tell new stories.
It's a big galaxy.
One assumes most of them are pretty big. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, gang, stay tuned. We will be covering this show more in the future. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of the Acolyte. I also, the Sith guy gives a speech about what an Acolyte is, which makes me think, and it's not like the dictionary definition of an Acolyte, so I guess it's like a title. Like when you're in the Sith, being an Acolyte means da-da-da, was the impression I got. But do you think Sith guy is somebody? Like it's going to be revealed that it's like, it's Saul?
I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think
so? Is Amandla not the Acolyte?
Well, yeah, she is the Acolyte. But remember when she shows up, he's like, an Acolyte doesn't use weapons. They kill the spirit of the thing. I'm like, I don't think that's what let's look up what the dictionary has to say about Acolyte. I don't think those are in there. Roxy, where can the kids find what you're up to?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. Again, please go check out my personal channel. It's speaking of Star Wars, I did my first episode on The Phantom Menace and what I think that movie does right. Change of pace. And hellbentcomicbook.com. And I think that's it. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.